Man, what an absolutely brutal week of work and sports for me. It was horrible outside of the Black Ops 7 beta for me, but I'm sorry that I didn't get to upload a video. I was just extremely busy and had a lot going on, so I figured let's make an inbox video to make up for it, and let's start it out. So Nikarov asks, I recently saw my former English teacher for the first time since I left around 2 years ago. I didn't talk to him though because I had absolutely hated him. He was the most miserable and negative person I'd ever talked to, had no passion for his job, and would do his best to make our lives miserable too. Every lesson he will go on these winding tangents about how terrible something is. It's a miracle I passed it all. It's super weird because I've had absolutely amazing teachers who clearly love what they do and made me love it as well. My question is, how does someone who is so miserable and barely makes any effort to teach get to that point? Do they start like that, or does it happen over time? So, this is a tough question, because this is a big topic of conversation I've seen over the last couple years of like teachers quitting and leaving the profession, and there's just a big teacher shortage all around. So I would imagine that for most people, this is something that happens over time. They don't start. The only way you start out like that is if you start teaching not because you want to, but because to teach right now, you don't need an education degree. You just need a 4-year degree. So there's a lot of people that do, become a teacher as a fallback and they don't like it, so they go into it starting like that. But usually for this, it happens over time. Teachers have a lot of things that they're responsible for that most people don't know about unless you work in the education system and are a teacher. Every year, there's more things being shoved on teachers' plates outside of just managing your classroom and doing what's best for the kids and, teaching the kids, which is what's the most important thing. There's a lot behind the scenes. There's a lot of responsibilities and a lot of weight put on teachers, especially with all this, the school shootings happening and all that stuff. There's a lot of stressful things we have to do. So that side of teaching is not fun. Even for me, I love my job more than anything. It's the thing I'm the most passionate about. And I'm one of those teachers that you would say, make you love, being in the classroom. But even I, for the things in the background, get annoyed and frustrated, and it, brings some level of stress. So that could happen for a lot of teachers, and that could bleed into the classroom. But outside of that, I think other things that could happen, and what I see happen, is teachers could have multiple bad years in a row. Like where they just have a really bad class that just beats them down, doesn't listen, rude, disrespectful. And I know a lot of people are saying that, Gen Alpha is this just huge, disrespectful group. Oh my God, they're wild. There is a little bit more of an uptick of wild behaviors, but I would still say the overall collection is still filled with fantastic kids and students, and I think I should do a whole video on that, honestly. I think I'm going to do a whole video defending Gen Alpha from this, ridiculous attack they're under from people. But I do think teachers have multiple classes or, years in a row where they have bad students that don't listen, don't try, and just disrespect them, and they get to that point where they're just, fuck it. And then when they do get a good class, they've already checked out, they're done, they're just there for the, time off, because, teachers do get a lot of time off from work. We, don't work 12 months. And they basically just start going through the motions, and they just don't give a shit anymore. So that's how it happens. It's more the stuff behind the scenes, and just maybe a couple bad classes wearing on them. That's why I say, you have to want to be a teacher. You have to go in wanting to do it, because it is a tough job. You don't really get paid that much, and it's a tough job. So you have to love it, and you have to put 100% of your effort in, even if you are having a bad time outside of work with something in your personal life. You have to, bury it, especially if you're working with younger students, elementary age. You gotta bury it. You always have to have your game face on, and it is hard for people to do. So sometimes after a few years, they just get to that point and they can't shake it, and it does suck to see. But yeah, that's how it happens. It just happens slowly over time for, most teachers. Baragon asks, what do you do when your coworker's vernacular 100% refuses to stop being dehumanizing based purely on either political views or even a pseudo-scientific views? Fortunately, I am currently in a position in which I do have several other occupational options available to me with a basically a single phone call, so I really could just quit at the drop of a hat if this issue advances to worse stages. Love your videos, man. They're my workday treat. I pray you and yours are well. Hey, I appreciate you, man. You too. Back at you. I hope everything goes well for you. This is a tough one, because I, try not to get into political viewpoints on this, but if it is really that big of a thing, like, I don't understand the whole bringing up politics at work thing for me. But I kind of understand where you come from, because, as a teacher, as a male teacher, I'm in the minority of teachers, and I don't share the same political viewpoints as 95% of my coworkers and just people in my field of work. I'm sure that, is basically a telling sign of if I'm right or left with that comment, but I don't share the same political views as most people in education and stuff like that. But for me, anytime politics get brought up, I just don't even talk about it. I never bring it up. If there's something political being discussed, I just leave or just do that. But if it's really getting to the point where it's, being like a nuisance, and they're like treating people like, or like crap over political views or pseudoscientific views, I would honestly, if you have those other options, I would honestly look into it. If the pay is the same and all that stuff, and that's more of like a good work environment for you, I would honestly look into it, because that could get annoying. Like, I won't lie. Whenever my coworkers go on political rants or tangents, it drives me fucking insane. I hate it. Because, again, politics is just such a emotionally charged thing nowadays. And I do laugh when, everyone is just, acting like it's the end of the world and just fucking losing their minds over everything. Regardless, I just don't think it's proper to discuss politics at work. But, lo and behold, people do all the time. But yeah, that's what I would do, man. If it's really that bad, or like continues to go crazy based off that, I would honestly start looking at those other options, unless you really love your job. Best of luck to you, man. Pooper Scooper asks, any advice on helping someone see confidence in themselves? Honestly, I would just be honest with them. And I know a lot of people don't like taking compliments. They don't, they have a bad negative viewpoint. But, I would just tell them the truth. I would, just try to pump them up as much as you can. It depends on why they're not confident. Like, is it like a weight issue? Is it like a self-esteem issue? Something like that. I always say, get them out, socializing, in group settings, hit the gym, eat right, and I think that will slowly help over time. But it is a tough thing, because that's like more of a mental thing than anything, and that's something that even though you could do everything in your power to help them, that's like a personal struggle that the person themselves has to, reach. They have to realize that, okay, I'm, good the way I am, I'm a good person, I'm, this or that. That's not something you can really help them with. You can try to help guide them in that direction, but that is a personal struggle that, the individual has to solve themselves. Tabasco Sauce Boss asks, favorite cheat meal if you're into the whole bulk cut cycle? I assume you are. Yes, I am into the whole bulk or cut cycle. I'm currently, I'm bulking right now just because I'm trying to, get my max bench up to where I want. But after that, I'll probably go back to just, a normal diet. My favorite cheat meal, within reason of not going out somewhere crazy, I like going to Wendy's, getting 2 Baconators, and a 10-piece spicy nugget with a large Diet Coke, and maybe a chocolate Frosty. That's my big cheat meal, and I absolutely fucking love Baconators. Good luck in the gym with you, by the way. The Kaizo asks, if there was to be a new Halo spin-off side story like Reach or ODST, what kind of setting would you like to see? This might be a pretty basic one. I would absolutely love a Flood horror-style game where you just play a Marine. That would be absolutely amazing. I hate that the Flood is just not used anymore. I think a Flood side story, like, pseudo-horror game, would be fantastic, and I really hope they make it. And there's actually like a mod, I think, like someone's making a game and it looks really good, where it is like a flood horror game. So I can't wait for that to come out. But yes, for me, a flood horror game all the way. Chumpazi asked me, what is your favorite Halo game? This is like the hardest question for me to ask, because Halo 1, 2, and 3, like CE 2 and 3, are all tied for me, and I love them all for completely different reasons. I would say they're like equal. Like, I think Halo 3 plays the best and has the best multiplayer and Forge and all that. I think Halo 2 is, I just have the best fond memories of the multiplayer with it, and I love the story, and Halo CE has the best campaign for me. And it's just such a unique game compared to them. But, so I usually just rank them as the Halo trilogy is my favorite Halo game, but that's a cop-out. So if you put a gun to my head and said you have to choose, I would, just for the sheer memories I have of the game, I would probably have to say Halo 2 is my favorite Halo game, because, all the LAN parties, playing online for the first time, it's just, the event and spectacle of that launch. It came out at the perfect time of my life when I was like in middle school. So just for the memories and nostalgia factor, I'd have to say Halo 2. Dave asks, been a while since I left a comment, but it feels like everyone's addicted to something these days, and if you're comfortable discussing, have you ever struggled with addiction to anything, and what was the strategy you used to break through? I personally have not really been addicted to anything in my life. I guess I don't really have that nature. I haven't really done anything that I could get addicted to. But I know my friend, I've had a couple of my friends that like quit smoking cigarettes successfully and all that stuff. Honestly, with any kind of addiction, you have to really want to quit the addiction to do it. Like, and everything has to go right. Like, you have to also have a great support group around you to hold you accountable. So like, let's say you're trying to quit smoking cigarettes and you have just a really bad, shitty day, stressful day, and all you want to do is just reach for the cigarette because that helps with stress and all that stuff. You got to have a good support group that you could call and be like, go out and be with them. So honestly, I think the best strategy that I would know as someone who doesn't really know anything about trying to get out of addiction, but at least what my friends have done is lean on your support group heavily in times where you're feeling like, you're gonna crack and, go back to doing something, picking up the cigarette again, or, start drinking or whatever addiction you have. Watching porn again. I know that's like a huge addiction nowadays is like, porn. But, you gotta have a good support group. You gotta do all that. And, yeah, you have to want it. That's the biggest thing, is quitting an addiction is absolutely fucking brutal. So honestly, if you have someone going through that, I genuinely feel for them, and I hope that, they can get out of the cycle they're in. Restia asks, I just bought a new microphone. I'm making my own videos too. How do you talk to the viewers so relaxed or do the voiceovers so well? I don't really know, to be honest. This is just my usual speaking voice. I think maybe because of my job, I'm speaking in front of people all the time and, have a relaxed voice, so that might help. But I also, back in the day, I used to do like a Philadelphia sports podcast a lot, so that helped. And I also did a gaming YouTube channel for a while that, got somewhat successful. So when I started this channel, I did have some background knowledge and, how to speak into a mic and not get nervous and how to keep a cadence well. And honestly, I think the, relaxed tone, I think, honestly, it's just my voice being deep, honestly, just comes off like that. But, best of luck to you. I hope your videos go well. And, if you need any more advice, just, hit me up in the comments and I'll try to find it and help you out any way I can. But that will wrap up this inbox video. I appreciate you submitting all the questions. I love answering the questions and, getting in the weeds of the community. Thank you for all the support recently. I appreciate it. I'm sorry I only made one video this week. It was just a really long week of work, and it was a bad Thursday night of sports for me, and I was just exhausted and didn't have the mental bandwidth to make a good video. But, I'll be back at it probably like every 3 days or so this week. And, hope everyone's enjoying Battlefield 6 if they bought it. And, until next video, guys, I'll see you. Have a good week.